Hey guys, and welcome back to Innovation. Today we're taking out the Cyrusher 690 MAXS. We're taking it through the state park and we're gonna see what this thing can do. We're gonna hit some trails, we're gonna hit the dirt, we're gonna hit the rocks, we're going through puddles. Come with us, it's gonna be fun. Now I started this ride test off with this bike completely powered off. I like to give it a pedal and, see what it can do, completely powered off. The electric bikes are great, but I always, in the back of my mind, say, well, what if the battery fails? What if this thing isn't charged up? So I like to get a good feel for this bike, make sure that I could get out of the woods if I need to. And this thing pedals like a dream. These big tires roll over all the terrain flawlessly. Now having the 27 gears in this instance is really good because you can shuffle through the gears and find the one that's just perfect for you and find the cadence you like. Now after about 10 minutes of pedaling this thing around, I decided to turn it on and shift it up through pedal assist level 1, level 2. I stuck around level 3 for a while. I found myself mostly in level 3, level 4, and I just cruised around. I did about 15 miles on this day, and as you'll see, I took it through some terrain that most people may or may not get into, but we really like to pedal these things around because honestly anyone can ride these things on the street and they'll work just fine. But taking it out off-road is really where this thing shines. We went through puddles, went uphill, downhill. I mean, this thing is really a beast. It was kind of a soggy day, so there were some puddles to be found, and I like to go slow through those puddles and then really just kind of grind through it and see what it'll do. These huge tires are awesome for tackling any terrain up and over. There was a fairly good wind that had come through. The branches were down, and so just monster trucking over the fallen branches and trees. It did great. And then I kicked it up into pedal assist level 5, and that's plenty fast enough for what you need to do. This thing's not a race car. You're not going to race through the woods. I like to enjoy myself while I'm out there, but really take advantage of that 750 watt motor. Once I got down into those puddles, that was where I really had some fun. And I like to go slow through the puddles and then kind of just power through it and let that motor do the work. And this thing did perfect. I didn't have to put a foot down once. Never once did it hesitate. Now, one thing I noticed on the heads-up display is the power meter is kind of intuitive. So if it notices that you are in level 5 and just full throttle, hammering down, it'll kind of give you a prediction of where your power meter is. If you back it off a couple of notches on the pedal assist and you kind of take it easy, that power meter may give you a bar back. Another thing that was really impressive with this bike is the range that I was able to get. Like I said, I did about 15 miles of pretty rigorous riding. As you'll see, uphill, downhill, through the trails, on the road, maybe take a couple turns off the road, through the puddles, back and forth. I only used about half of the battery. When I finished 15 miles, it was about half battery. So that was really encouraging that this thing has quite a bit of range and I had plenty of juice. Really, it was just time to go. I had to get back home and wash this thing up. But the range is very impressive on this thing for someone who is really trying to put this thing through the test. Now, another feature that was really impressive were these big fenders. They kind of rattle around a little bit, but they do a great job of keeping all the rocks and the dirt from flying up on you. It's really crucial in a situation like this because some of that stuff can fly up, hit you in the eye, get you all dirty in the back. But these fenders were great. You see, I went through these puddles and my shoes were the only thing that really got wet, but that's kind of bound to happen. The fenders did a great job. The Shimano gear set here, this 27 speed, I had no issues. I shifted up, down, I cycled through the 3 gears up front, and I had no problems. It didn't once skip or miss shift. Right out of the box, this thing was dialed. When it was time to go, another feature that really stood out was the foldability of this bike. That could be a real selling point, I think, for a lot of people, because I went back to the Subaru, folded it up in about 2 seconds, I was back on the road. So being able to have a full-size, huge monster of a bike and then be able to just pack it up in your little car is just outstanding. I think it's really cool, and it opens up a lot for the adventurous, the guy that wants to get out there, and maybe he's worried about the restrictions of his vehicle, maybe of a rack, because these things have these huge tires. They don't necessarily fit in most standard bike racks that you have. So being able to come back to the car and just fold it up, put it back in the trunk, and head on out. That is really a key feature, and I really like that part about this bike. So all in all, after a rigorous day of riding, about 15 miles, half a battery, this thing had no fail points. Everything worked flawlessly. I didn't have to stop for one single issue. So this thing gets my seal of approval. I really like what Cyrusher's done. I think it's going to be cool when they switch up the gearing a little bit and see how that kind of affects the pedaling. But I think it's just a great bike. So that's going to do it for the ride test. I had a great time checking this thing out, putting it through the paces. I really love this bike, and I can't wait to see what Cyrusher is going to put out next. You know, if they change up the gears a little bit, that's going to be a cool feature. And we just can't wait to get our hands on the next one and get back out there. So that's going to do it for me here in the studio. I've got some more bikes I've got to go get out and ride. But until next time, ride on, brother.